You're listening to Beyond Wellness Radio, bringing you the cutting edge in health, biohacking, and sports performance. Stay up to date and listen anywhere and anytime on your computer, tablet, or smartphone by subscribing on iTunes. Catch your host, Dr. Justin Marchegiani, as he answers your burning health questions as well as interviews from world-renowned guest experts. For more Beyond Wellness Radio, go to beyondwellnessradio.com.
Hey there, it's Dr. Justin Marchegiani. Welcome to Beyond Wellness Radio. Feel free and head over to beyondwellnessradio.com where you can access our full podcast transcriptions. While you're there, you can also sign up for our thyroid and female hormone video series. This series goes into the root cause of why your hormones are out of balance. While you're there, you can also schedule a functional medicine consult with Dr. Justin, myself, where we'll dig deeper into the root cause of your health challenges. Feel free and think of sharing this podcast with at least one person. This podcast grows by people sharing it. Sharing is caring. If you can think of one person that can benefit from this information, please feel free and share it. If you're enjoying the podcast, make sure you subscribe on iTunes. You can also click below the video or podcast where you'll see the iTunes review button and leave us a review. You can also sign up for the newsletter at beyondwellnessradio.com where you'll get updates before anyone else. Thank you so much and enjoy the show.
Evan, Dr. J here. What's cooking, man? It's Friday.
Hey, it is Friday. I didn't cook anything for breakfast today. I just did a couple of slices of some organic summer sausage that I found that is really delicious. And then I had my all-time favorite Love Crunch organic nut bar. It's got some organic cashews, a little bit of dark chocolate, some hemp seeds, a little bit of pink salt, I believe, or sea salt in there. So I'm feeling macronutrient balanced to start my podcast here with you.
That's great. I'm actually doing a little bit of intermittent fasting this morning. Just did actually a little bit of bulletproof coffee here, and I'll probably have some collagen here in a few hours, but doing a little IF this morning, and I'm feeling pretty good. I'm not seeing patients till this afternoon, so I'm rocking it.
That sounds good.
Very good. Well, anything else on your radar screen?
Well, I'm definitely off topic, but I'm definitely interested in cars now. You and I have been spending time off air talking about cars this morning, so that's always fun.
Always fun stuff. Like it. Well, today we talked about digging into leaky gut. We've done some videos on digestion and infections and hydrochloric acid, which all play a role into leaky gut. But I think we need to do a really, good job just kind of tying everything together to really what is a leaky gut.
Sure, that sounds good. For me, everybody pretty much comes in the door and they diagnose themselves with leaky gut. It's like, I have leaky gut and that's why I'm coming to get help. And a lot of people do have it, but I guess I wouldn't always jump to conclusions about that. So maybe should we break down kind of like the gut a little bit? I mean, you want some level of permeability. Like you have a certain level of intestinal permeability, but it's when you're exposed to gluten and these other things that you're going to increase that permeability. And now toxins that should not be able to get through and infections and stuff that shouldn't be able to get through this lining, now they can, and they break through the tight junction. And then now you have, whether it's an autoimmune disease or you have other physical symptoms that hurt you, and then you're troubled. And then now you have to try to work on sealing that back up.
Yeah, absolutely. So our gut inside of our intestinal tract is actually considered outside of our body, which is kind of a weird thing to wrap your head around. So when you're eating something, it's technically considered outside of your body in the intestinal tract. And basically we have to bring it in via the tight junctions and the gastrointestinal kind of barrier system. So we take food in, it goes into our stomach, just kind of digestion 101 here. We take foods in through our stomach, and the first level of digestion actually happens with the teeth, right? We're breaking things down, we're chewing. The technical term is mastication. Medicine loves making big words that make no sense. So we're masticating our food, we're breaking it down. That starts the digestive juices being secreted. It enters our stomach and it's starting to get churned up, and the hydrochloric acid comes out, which has almost like a sterilization effect with the food, but also activates a lot of our proteolytic enzymes in our stomach, one known as pepsin, which helps start breaking down protein. And then all that food gets mixed up into this kind of soupy mixture called chyme. And that chyme should have a nice low pH. And that low pH in that chyme is actually going to be released from our stomach into the small intestine. And once it's released, our pancreas spits out a whole bunch of bicarbonate to kind of bring the pH back up so we don't have an ulcer in our small intestine. But that nice low pH initially triggers our pancreas to make a whole bunch of enzymes like trypsin and chymotrypsin and lipase. These are fat enzymes and protein enzymes that'll help break down protein and fat. And then it'll also trigger our gallbladder to contract and spit out a whole bunch of bile salts, which will start helping to emulsify fat. So the first domino is good, healthy mastication in the mouth by chewing. That increases surface area. The stomach does its job with the nice pH and having a sterilization effect and also activating proteolytic enzymes. Our small intestine's now triggered where bicarbonate comes out, and then also enzymes from the pancreas and bile salts from the gallbladder. So that's kind of where we're at. Any questions there, Evan?
No, that's good. I mean, a lot of people, they don't actually chew their food that well, and then they wash it down with a soda or other type of drink. They'll just put a bite in their mouth, and then they're just chugging something down and goes to the gut, and you're creating a lot more stress for the stomach. It's got to work harder than it should have to. So that kind of wears you out too.
Yeah, I remember back in the day, this was like maybe 10 years ago when I was a personal trainer, and I was thinking that, eating the conventional way was healthy. And I was sitting there and I'm eating a Subway sandwich thinking that this is such a great thing, right? Because, Jared from Subway lost all this weight. I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm eating that sandwich, and my roommate next to me went and said, "You just chewed that thing 7 times before you swallowed it." And I was like, whoa. And it kind of hit me. Like the first part of digestion with that stomach, with your, getting the food in your stomach, chewing is so important. I think that's a really important thing. A good rule of thumb is you chew your food for every tooth that you have. So on average, that should be like 32 chews or 33 chews, if I remember my dental anatomy correctly. Probably 32 because it's even. Again, if you're unhealthy and you have no teeth, that doesn't give you the excuse to just swallow your food whole. But I think you get the idea. Chewing is super important for the digestive process.
Yeah, definitely.
So we chew our food up, right? We get the protein digestion in the stomach. We get the fat and protein in the small intestine via the pancreas and the gallbladder. Now that food has to get broken down, ideally even more, into its individual constituents, meaning protein is like the pearl necklace. Each individual pearl is like the amino acids, right? So we want to take that pearl necklace, we want to break it open so all those individual pearls are laid out so our body can then absorb the amino acids. And protein digestion is very energy intensive. So if people are under a lot of stress, it can take energy digesting protein. So sometimes if we're in a catabolic state, our body's breaking down a lot of tissue and we're already having digestive problems, getting free form amino acids in your digestive system that are already broken down can take a lot of stress off the gut because it can just absorb those individual pearls because they're already broken off the necklace, if you will.
Yeah. So do you do capsules or do you do liquids when you are going to do some amino acids? What do you like?
Typically a combo of the two. Typically a really good high quality protein powder in the morning, like a pea or a beef protein powder. People are less sensitive, maybe a grass-fed whey. And then individual amino acids that are free-form, because even pea and whey and beef, they aren't free-form. There's still a little bit of digestion that's involved, but not even close to the same as food. But when we have people that are showing either low amino acids on their blood work or on their organic acid test, we'll give them additional capsule versions of free-form aminos so they can absorb a lot of those things to help make their neurotransmitters and their lean tissue as well.
Yeah. So unless you have a different direction to go with this thing, we should probably talk about some of the causes and culprits of leaky gut. So for me, huge. A lot of people that I talk with are doing CrossFit and other intense exercise, and they're depending on Advil and ibuprofen and Tylenol and all of these other NSAIDs that are just not good for the gut lining at all. And I find that a lot of these people, once they start using these products for their pain to cope with their exercise routine, now their joints are hurting worse than ever before.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then we start to make the connection with, man, that gut is getting destroyed, and now other things are getting through that barrier that should not be.
Exactly. So medication is definitely going to be a stressor because it can wear down that gut lining for sure. And again, I was really stressing the digestive component because if we're not digesting our foods down fully, what starts to happen is these proteins that are incompletely digested, they start getting into the bloodstream, not in their free form, not in their essential fatty acid form, but, impartially broken down or partially emulsified or partially digested, right? And that's a problem because then the immune system can freak out. It starts to say, what's this here? This just shouldn't be here. What's going on? And those surface proteins on some of those foods can resemble other body tissues. So if you look at like a surface protein amino acid sequence of gluten, it may resemble things like the myelin tissue that coats the nerves, or it may resemble the thyroid tissue, or it may resemble joint tissue. Or if you're looking at dairy, it may resemble tissue on the pancreas for type 1 diabetics. So the foods being incompletely digested is a big component. So everyone kind of while they're sitting here, just put your hands together like you're saying a prayer, right? But then you're looking inward on the inside of your hand. So you can see the fingers interlaced and you can see it really tight, but you can see a nice little seam there. That's kind of like your gut lining. And where those fingers interlace, that's called our tight junctions. That's like the epithelial tissue in our gut lining. And if we just pull our tissue or pull our hands apart just enough to create a little bit of daylight, that's what's happening when we start to have a leaky gut. And again, the leaky gut could be one from eating bad foods, right? Eating foods like gluten or dairy, like dairy maybe being higher casein dairy like cheese or milk, or it could be eating things that higher sugar foods. It could be from infections like fungal overgrowths or parasites, or it could even be people that are sensitive like phenols and salicylates or mycotoxins that are in the food. It could even be from lack of nutrients like zinc. It could also be from you not chewing your food well, or you eating while you're having a whole bunch of stress, so you're not digesting foods, or not having enough enzymes or hydrochloric acid. So there's a whole bunch of things, right? Medications you also mentioned. So all of these things, if you're having your hands tight together, it's like pulling them apart just a little bit, and it's allowing those undigested, unbroken down foods and those pearl necklaces that should be broken down to go into the bloodstream, and then our immune system is looking for the APB, right? All posted bulletin, right? We got a person driving a black Lexus, it's stolen, but then, hey, the guy maybe driving the black BMW gets pulled over instead, right? It's that case of mistaken identity, and other tissues get caught up in the collateral damage. And that's what happens with leaky gut and other parts of the body, is that these parts of the immune system are revved up because the amino acids on these foods look similar to other tissues.
That's mind-blowing, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? I'm going to take a breath right now and let you break some stuff down.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I wanted to talk about cortisol a little bit too, because stress is a huge part that can contribute to leaky gut. And if you go back far enough in a client's history and you find that they did start doing like a CrossFit exercise, or they had a significant job change, or they went through a divorce or something like that, some type of huge stressor, whether it's emotional, chemical, physical, they seem to derail themselves.
Yes.
And so now there's the link between the cortisol and the leaky gut. So if you have all these other things that you're putting in your mouth, and alcohol's another big one too, you're putting all these things in your mouth that are causing you issues, and you have all this stress on top of it, is really when the Jenga game starts to fall. You pulled out one too many pieces of the puzzle, and now the whole thing has collapsed, and then you have more issues. So stress for me was a huge part of my recovery process after the diet picture was dialed in.
Yeah, and we have this kind of like this nice little balance with cortisol. It's kind of like the Goldilocks effect. Not too hot, not too cold, not too high, not too low. Cortisol goes too high, we actually burn through a lot of our gut lining. That's stress, right? You're under a lot of stress. That increases cortisol. You're burning down that gut lining. Your IgA That's the mucosal membrane barrier that lines the gut starts to weaken. The mucus layer on the intestinal tract or in the stomach starts to thin out, and then you don't have that protection from the stomach acid. And you need too much stomach acid will break down that gut lining. So then when foods come in, it's like, boom, now they can easily pass through, or there could be impaired digestion. But if our cortisol is too low, we actually need some level of cortisol to build up our gut lining, to create our gut lining. And we need some level of cortisol to deal with inflammation. So little fires will maybe be ignited in our gut. And if we can't put those fires out with the cortisol, that's going to be a problem. And then also we need cortisol to build up that gut lining too.
So let's go a little deeper with that and try to apply this to the stuff that we see all the time. Most people we see are low in cortisol because they've gone through so much stress that now they're more like a stage 2, stage 3 adrenal fatigue. So what you're saying here is you go high cortisol at first. So you're stage 1. You're burning the candle at both ends.
Yes.
So you're destroying the gut, right? So then they wear out the adrenals and the pancreas and the liver, all the whole system here. And now they're low cortisol. So now you're saying once you hit that point, you don't even have enough stress hormone to build these processes back up, which is why you have to get the adrenals going. You have to get the digestive system going. You have to get the detox going. You're saying because if you don't have enough fuel because your stress bucket's empty, you can't even build this gut healing process back up anyway. Am I saying that right?
Correct. So once you get into this place where the gut's starting to become leaky, you really have to then follow a 5R approach, which we'll talk about in a bit, to get the gut healed again. And that's a combination of removing bad foods, adding in digestive support, adding in healing nutrients and adrenal support, removing any infections, and then also bringing back and trying to repopulate with a lot of good bacteria.
Mm-hmm. It's funny. I always hear like, you'll sometimes the functional medicine thing, you'll hear 4 R's and then you hear 5 R's and then sometimes you hear 6 R's. It's like, how many are there?
I know, right? I made up my own. And the reason why I did it is because I found a lot of the order was messed up, meaning a lot of people will say remove, but they'll say remove the foods and they'll put the infections in the same place. And the problem with that is people, or I should say, functional medicine practitioners and doctors really screw this up because they take a sick patient who can't regulate inflammation, they can't digest foods, they're already inflamed, and they go after a massive infection. There's a whole bunch of die-off or Herxheimer's reaction, which is the body becoming overwhelmed of the dead debris, having to process the dead debris from the infection killing program. It has to push it out to the lymph or the detox or the kidneys, and then the immune system has to deal with all of the biotoxins of the infection. And the person has a healing crisis. They just feel like crap. And then they fall out of the program. And then there's a patient that thinks functional medicine isn't going to be able to help them. So my goal is the removal of the infection is one of the last things that we do because we have to get the person digesting. We have to cut the crappy foods out. We got to start shifting their body into an anti-inflammatory state. I got to give their body the extra nutrients. We also have to work on giving the extra repairing nutrients. So I focus at least 1 to 2 months on that before we knock out the infection. That's why we have remove twice. It's remove in the beginning with the foods and then remove at the end in the 4th R with the infection. And then also my 3rd R, where we do repair. Repair typically with most doctors is just healing nutrients. And those healing nutrients are like the aloe, the deglycerized licorice, the L-glutamine, a lot of these healing mucilaginous and nutrient-based amino acids. That's the repair part. But with me, I also add in the adrenals because cortisol is important for gut healing. And like you said, Evan, most of our patients are stage 3. Their cortisol is beneath that 23 nanomoles per liter on the cortisol rhythm test for their cortisol sum for the day. So they don't have enough cortisol to even deal with the inflammation in their gut. So with us, it's really the 5 R's, and it's that way because of thousands of patients that I've treated, and I found this is the magic sequence that tends to work the best in most people.
Well, it makes so much more sense. I mean, how could you come in with this big sledgehammer and this gut-killing protocol? I just actually had a call the other day with a girl where she's got Hashimoto's, which is so common, and she started working with another lady on top of me because she's local. So she's able to go see her in person. I
Too
don't know.
many cooks in the kitchen.
That's what's happening, man. So here I am trying to work on the adrenals with this lady. And next thing I know, she says, hey, Evan, I'm taking like 10 or 15 new supplements. And she's on this huge gut killing protocol now because this other lady is doing it I almost call that like the standard functional medicine way. So now, you know, she doesn't know who to go to for all these new symptoms that are coming up because she's taking all of these gut killing stuff. I mean, the oregano oil, the GIX micro, whatever. I mean, she's going deep in the rabbit hole. And my explanation, I tried to keep it as simple as possible, is like, how are you going to put the windows in your house if you don't even have the walls up yet?
Oh my gosh. No, I totally hear you. And this is the biggest mistake most functional medicine doctors and practitioners make. So anyone that's looking for a functional medicine doctor, make sure you interview them regarding this process, because I think if they don't have this down, then there's probably other pieces to the puzzle that are probably missing.
Well, what's happening now is that she is getting stagnant. So, I mean, we looked at the adrenal picture again, and we went over some of the symptoms just on a questionnaire. And it's like, okay, we're clearly reducing some of these adrenal things where she's not waking up in the middle of the night anymore and things like that. But now all of a sudden, with this Herx reaction, now the joints hurt. Now she feels like she has the flu all the time. And it's significantly reducing her confidence to continue on because she's this early in the game with this lady, and now all of a sudden everything's getting worse. So I guess my point is here that I mean, I'm just seconding what you're saying. It's got to be done in something a little bit more common sense than just coming in and killing everything just because you've identified something. I mean, yeah, we definitely want to identify, and that's what we do, is identify what's going on. But we're not going to come and chase after that stuff if you're not ready for it.
Exactly. So looking at the 5 R's that I've applied in my clinic and practice, there are a couple of exceptions. Let me walk you through the exceptions. So number 1, the first exception is while we're doing the killing, some people may need some detox or binder support. So we may add in some extra clean, soluble fibers to help with binding. Maybe I could have apple pectin or celery root or carrot root. Try to do a lot of plant-based fibers that are soluble and try to avoid a lot of the grain-based non-soluble fibers just because of gut irritation. So that's one extra piece to the puzzle. The next piece of the puzzle is some people do better with some probiotics during the whole program. And we have a couple different strains that we use in the office that are very helpful. But we talk about the reinoculation kind of being that 5th R, that 5th phase, and that's important, and most people will be able to do it that way, no problem. Some may need a little bit of probiotic during the program because it'll help some of their gut inflammation, right? There's been studies showing that probiotics taking can actually decrease cortisol levels in the gut, and if they're under a lot more stress, that may be beneficial. It can also help with digestion. It can also help easing stomach inflammation and irritation. And if you maybe have constipation or diarrhea, it could make have a beneficial effect on some of those gut symptoms that may already be present. So depending on where that person's at, we may add some probiotics, some specific strains, whether it's a soil-based or some specific others that we use, like in the Bacillus family, to really help modulate any of the gut symptoms that may be present.
That's beautiful. I love how that works. I mean, it's almost like an adaptogen, probiotics in a way. It's like if you're having diarrhea, it can help balance that out. If you're having constipation, it can help get things moving. I love the effect. I'm going to put probiotics in the adaptogen category now.
I know, right? So looking back here with the leaky gut, right, we pull apart our hands or our fingers, and where they're interlaced there, that's where the leaky gut starts. That's the tight junctions. Now, what facilitates that is a protein called zonulin. So everything we're doing is trying to reduce stimulation or production of zonulin, because zonulin's kind of the energy that pulls that gut junction apart. So gluten is one of the biggest stimulators of zonulin. Also, endotoxin, which is a toxin secreted by bacteria the outer layer of the bacteria that has these little kind of like flagella-like projections, if you will. I'm making this little hand motion on the Skype. Too bad everyone can't see me on that. But those little flagella-like projections that sit off of it, and now those are actually LPS. And if you Google LPS, it's another word for endotoxin. And you break endo means internal, right? Toxin is toxin, right? So medicine, again, using big confusing words. So it's an internal toxin produced by the bacteria that has to go and get filtered out by the liver. So it's toxic. So that can actually create and increase zonulin proteins. Also, things in the food, casein can be a stimulator, phenols and salicylates, which is what's kind of taken out of the GAPS diet or the SCD diet. So those can be a big thing as well. And then mycotoxin and mold and even dysbiotic bacteria, where your gut bacteria is really out of whack, and even SIBO, or small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, which is another form of dysbiosis specifically in the small intestine. So
you got me thinking here.
Go ahead, yeah.
Let me interrupt you here. So, talking about this endotoxin here, and you're talking about the liver's job to get that stuff out. Let's say someone had been taking a lot of pharmaceuticals, or they have had a bad skincare regimen where they're getting a lot of chemicals in their diet there. Maybe they are eating chemicals and other fungicides and pesticides from non-organic produce, things like that, and they're increasing that liver burden. That could technically make the leaky gut problem worse, because now you're not able to get rid of that endotoxin as well because the liver's focused on these other chemicals. Is that accurate?
Exactly.
That's scary.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's why the foundations of this removing as many chemicals from your life is going to be important for people listening.
Yeah, any stressor that you add to your intestinal tract is going to be an issue, because everything that goes into your gut has to go to the hepatic portal vein, which then goes to the liver and then gets filtered out and then goes systemically. So the more stress in your gut, it eventually goes to the liver as well. So the cleaner food that you put in your intestinal tract, the less hard, I should say, the more, what's a better word here? The liver is not as stressed as much during the filtration process.
Yeah, right. Just taking the load off.
That's it. And that's important, because our liver really has to work hard with all the toxins in our day and age. And I heard this at a conference recently. I'll put it out there. I'm not sure how accurate it is, but from what I understood is a healthy liver functions at 99.9%, upwards of 99 and change. I heard a cirrhotic liver, a liver that's not functioning well, it's really only a 10% difference in its function. It's functioning basically at 90%. Now, I could be wrong on that. I heard a doctor lecture on that topic, but from what I understand, it's only a 10% difference in filtration that makes the difference of a diseased liver and a healthy liver.
Jeez. So if you're 1 or 2% off, holy crap.
I know, that could be a pretty big deal, and that could create a lot of symptoms too.
Yeah. So, I mean, something that's kind of like the overwhelming idea of this whole thing is that it's not one thing. Everybody's always looking for that one thing that's gone wrong, that's caused their health issues. It's not one thing. It's a combination of things. Like I told you, I had a canker sore that popped up in my mouth. You're like, dude, you probably got gluten somewhere and from a sauce or something like that I came across, and it caused me to have some type of symptom. So obviously that's a huge cause that we always stay away from as much as possible, staying away from, wheat protein, gluten. But there's this whole list, I mean, that we could make a thousand pages long of these other things. So if you're getting frustrated and you're thinking it's that one piece of your life that's causing you issues, maybe, but it could be that we need to just focus in on several different pieces of your life at the same time and just take a few baby steps in the right direction to get you better.
Exactly. 100% agree. Now, a lot of people are all about, well, how do I know I have leaky gut? Well, there are some tests out there. I personally don't do any of these tests because I think anyone that has digestive issues or has chronic health issues, they're going to have a leaky gut, because there's a common pattern in any of these patients. There's inflammation, there's maybe some food allergens, there's poor digestion, there's lack of stomach acid. A lot of times there's an infection. There may be some toxicity, overwhelm, or overload, and maybe some nutritional deficiencies. I mean, all of those together are going to be like a perfect storm. So Cyrex, they're a lab, I think, out on the West Coast that looks at some leaky gut markers like actomycin, occludin, or zonulin. and they look at lipopolysaccharides. That's the endotoxin. And look at the various antibodies, and they're kind of looking at the fact that these antibodies are going to be a strong stimulating factor of leaky gut, especially if we know zonulin's there, right? That's the protein that kind of unzips that gut lining. So these are some more objective ways to quantify leaky gut. I don't think you have to go that way. Most people don't need that. They can just start with the general 5R plan, and they're going to already start getting better and feeling better off the bat, because with the whole leaky gut test, it doesn't change anything in treatment. We're not going to go about doing anything differently because we see some of these markers pop up. So if it doesn't change treatment for me, why do it? The only time,
love it.
Yeah, the only time I would do it is if someone's kind of a biohacker and really wants objective data, or someone's just very skeptical and is like, well, I want to see it. I want to look at it. I want to touch and feel it and know that it's actually there.
That's so smart. I'm so glad you said that. Because like some of the other stuff, like a stool test, you can't opt out of that. An adrenal test, you can't opt out of that. Organic acids, you can't opt out of that.
Right.
This one, you can pretty much assume. I mean, what would you say? Would you say 9.9 out of 10 people that are having the symptoms we're seeing are leaky gut people?
Absolutely. And then it comes down to what degree as well. Right?
Yeah.
And that may be different from day to day, and to, you know, what food exposure and what stress you've had and sleep and all that. So there's a lot of variables. Another variable, another test that I think you can bypass on is food allergy testing. I don't think food allergy testing is bad, and for some people it may be a good idea, especially if you're dealing with someone that's very resistant to cutting out foods and need to see it in black and white, like I mentioned with the leaky gut. That can be helpful, but most people, they're going to need an elimination diet with some level of rotation to it. Let's think about it, right? If you get back a test that says you're allergic to beef and chicken and a whole bunch of vegetables and fruit that you're already eating, and then you start eating, well, I'm going to eat more fish and I'm going to eat more turkey, and then I'm going to eat these vegetables and these fruit, and then you redo the test. Well, if the gut's leaky, guess what happens? You tell me, Evan. I know I'm putting you on the spot.
I honestly zoned out. I was so entranced with the tone of your voice that I got lost. Say it again.
Evan, that is 10 paleo demerits. All right. I want 25 push-ups right now. So basically, anytime you switch to the foods you're eating, especially early on with the gut still being inflamed, you're going to eventually develop antibodies and an immune response to the new foods you're eating as well. So if you're allergic to beef and you cut beef out, and now you're eating turkey every day, well, then it's just a matter of time before turkey's on that immune list.
Right. Was there a question involved in that?
So the whole idea is, well, what do you do with the diet? Because if, you know, I'm not getting this food allergy test, well, how do I figure out what to eat? Well, typically a good elimination diet that involves an autoimmune paleo aspect is usually a good starting place for most people. And I always tell patients, rotate their meat families. So a good way to go is turkey, or I should say your poultry, your fish, your beef, and your pork. Kind of rotate those proteins. Pick one per day and rotate them, and then eat different colors of vegetables, different colors. And you can even break it down to taxonomy of the vegetable family. I have a handout on my website that does that. But for most people that aren't terribly sick, just eating different colors and rotating the types typically is enough. The fats tend to be more benign because it's the immune component in the body is more protein based. So having just fats tend to be okay. Again, butter has a little bit of casein, right? So butter may be an issue, but pure coconut and pure olive oil tend to be fine. So moral of that story is an elimination diet with an autoimmune element that has some rotation pieces to it tends to be a better replacement for any food allergy testing.
Yeah, just imagine if the whole world went on an autoimmune paleo diet, how much money would be saved in the healthcare system overnight.
Oh my God. I mean, just diabetes alone, it's going to bankrupt the healthcare system.
Oh.
People don't know it, but the average lifespan of someone that's diagnosed diabetic is like $2 million, you know, their lifespan of cost. When frankly, I mean, this stuff can be fixed relatively easily with just some diet and some lifestyle and exercise pieces and maybe some supplementation as well. Like a couple $1,000 gone.
Yeah. I know. It's just amazing to me. I mean, I'm kind of zooming out here in my head about all of the different problems that we see and the different manifestations of where someone that's just starting with this condition of leaky gut, how they start with this, but they could end up with an autoimmune disease, and now they're on Humira and these other immunomodulating drugs, and they have the medical bills, and then they have the side effects, and they have the side effect of the side effect. And it's just amazing to think that there's so many people going down the rabbit hole when just with this podcast here, I say this is probably one of the most important podcasts we've ever done, because if you start here with this foundation of getting this gut lining and this tight junction in order, you're going to save yourself potentially thousands of dollars and maybe even millions over your lifetime, and the quality of life. I mean, that's priceless. There's no dollar sign that you can put next to that. So
absolutely. And just remember, anyone who has an autoimmune condition, autoimmunity starts in the gut. Alessio Fasano, a researcher out of University of Maryland, now over at Harvard, he's the one that kind of coined the term or did a lot of the research on gastrointestinal permeability. And he was kind of, almost a pariah in the field, so to speak. I mean, Harvard's now picked him up and he's done a lot of great research, but he got a lot of crap. I saw him speak at an autism conference a few years back, and he was just lecturing to all the people saying, guys, you have no idea how much crap I've gone through just to bring this information to the forefront. And I couldn't believe it because, now leaky gut is even becoming more mainstream, but this guy went through a lot of slings and arrows to bring this information up there. And he's even gone as far to say that this mechanism, leaky gut, gastrointestinal permeability, has to be present in almost all autoimmune conditions for them to even happen to begin with. So that means your Parkinson's and your MS may be driven from a gut issue to begin with.
Oh man, that's mind-blowing right there.
Wrap your head around that. Like, something that's not even GI related is coming from the gut. And this is where medicine, conventional medicine, drops the ball, because you already alluded to it earlier. It's like everything has like a cure or a symptom, and it's just one thing. But you can't cure something that has multiple causes. And there could be literally just 10 causes happening at once. Let's say each cause has a 10%, it's 10% attributed to the underlying condition. Well, it's not just one thing to point at. You may have to treat each of those 10 things and knock each down from 10 to 0 for that person to get better. A drug can't do that because it's only focused on one enzyme system or one biochemical pathway that it's blocking or inhibiting, and it's not fixing or upregulating any of the systems, and it's only focused on one at a time.
Yep. Yeah. Well, that doctor that you were talking about, I mean, it's a lot like what happened with Galileo. I mean, here he is discovering that the earth is spinning around the sun. I mean, I don't know the full story, but I'm pretty sure I don't know if he was imprisoned or at least highly, highly stigmatized for this discovery. And everybody's like, yeah, right, you're an idiot. The earth does not spin around the sun. Something so revolutionary. And it takes him however many years. I mean, he probably died before it actually comes out that was true. I mean, when, Newton and Copernicus and all these other guys come around and like, yeah, he was right. So it's basically what's happening now, but it's just in medicine. It's this whole idea that we have to invent the drug, right? It's like, we're going to find the cure. The cure is never going to come into one pill. It's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm. No, it won't. And then same thing with Dr. Semmelweis, who figured out that, going from the autopsy lab where he was doing, pathological dissections, keeping the blood on his hands and not washing it, and then going to deliver babies upstairs was causing all kinds of, illnesses with these newborns and causing death. And it's like, my God, he came up with the idea, let's change our gloves and wash our hands. And he was like, exile. It's like, you got to be kidding me. Like, if you were go today and say, well, yeah, washing your hands is bad, you'd be like, what? Of course, you need to wash your hands, especially in surgery. And this guy was thought to be like a heretic, just a little over 100 years ago. Washing your hands was considered to be, insane, which is just nuts in itself.
So we're living in the future right now. Like, this podcast is ahead of its time. I mean, this stuff, not to toot our own horns too much here, but I mean, it could take give me a timeline. I mean, you've been doing this stuff longer than me. How long is this going to take to become mainstream where the doctor on every corner is talking about the stuff we're talking about?
I don't think it will happen from a top-down approach. It won't happen with the drug companies or the conventional mainstream doctors because they're too entrenched with the pharmaceutical model and too funded by it, with their education and their treatment modalities are 100% focused on symptom drug. It's allopathic. It's great for acute medicine because the isolated cause of acute issues, they're acute. They happen once. That's the whole reason why they're acute. The car accident patient who broke their leg, the car accident happened. It's done. It's over with.
Yeah.
But the people that have the issues that we have, they're having little micro car accidents every single day, 24/7, and it's not being fixed by the Celebrex that was prescribed or by the antidepressant. So the medical model will never... It won't change top down, meaning it's not going to be the government and the doctors and the drug companies that do it. It will just change based on a free market approach of people saying, I'm going to go look for a functional medicine doctor to fix my condition because my conventional doctor's just throwing antidepressants and Prilosec and Nexium and corticosteroids at me and immune suppressive drugs, and it doesn't look too good and the side effects stink and it's not fixing any of the issues. So we're getting information out there and we're just trying to create another option. So now instead of only having option A, which is drugs and surgery and trying to manage symptoms as they get worse, where eventually the side effects become worse than the actual disease to begin with, we're having a second option that's more free market where you can actually get the underlying issue fixed. And part of that issue is always going to be the diet and the lifestyle and the nutritional piece, which frankly isn't even present at any medical schools.
Not at all. Yeah.
So, I mean,
so the bottom up approach, I mean, this grassroots thing that's happening now, it's just going to become an even bigger and bigger presence until it's actually, whether it's accepted or not, we don't really care. I don't care at least. So that bottom up approach is just going to get so big that it reveals itself because of the success rate that it has.
Yeah, it's going to be just natural inclination of people searching online, blogging, listening to podcasts, and getting tired of the options that are thrown at them from the medical establishment. I mean, the functional medicine community doesn't have billions of dollars of marketing. What they really have are individual doctors and practitioners like myself that go out on the internet and blog and do podcasts and do videos. That's it. I don't have $1 billion payroll to market this stuff. So for me, it's just me putting free information out there, trying to give people hope and connect with them and give them solutions. That's it. That's my marketing plan. And lots of free information. That's it. Now, conventional medicine, it's a different story. You open up the TV or your paper, right? I mean, or any magazine, like drug commercials, they're just littered out through it. And you're not going to see that in functional medicine.
That's very true.
Yep. So, and they get functional medicine in the Cleveland Clinic now. Now, I'm already predicting that it will kind of be a watered down version of functional medicine. It will be functional medicine light or diet functional medicine. And I don't think it will be, what functional medicine could be because, well, I mean, frankly, if you got a massive multi-million-dollar hospital that makes a whole bunch of money because they have cancer wards and heart disease wards and they treat diabetic patients, and you got this one department called functional medicine that's sucking all the other departments dry. I mean, they're a business they have to stay in. And if one part of it is losing money for the whole hospital, how could you stay in business? It's not a viable model.
Yeah.
Right. If it's by itself and it's fully an entity unto its own, like me and you are, it's different. But when you're a hospital that makes hundreds of millions of dollars and you got one sector of that hospital causing every other sector to lose money, it becomes pretty tough.
Yeah.
So wrapping up here, Evan, is there anything else you want to say before we give all the listeners kind of our Reader's Digest summary here?
I think this was good. I mean, this was definitely longer than some of the other episodes, but this was well needed. I think we covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah. So I think off the bat, where anyone's coming in, the first thing you can do is try to eat your food in a non-stressful, stress-free environment. Chew your food, 1 chew per tooth. Right now, I think that's 32 chews, if memory serves me right. Make sure you're not drinking a whole bunch of water with your meals, and avoid all the inflammatory things that are going to be driving that zonulin stimulation. The gluten is going to be the first. Any of the dairy outside of butter may be okay. All of the extra irritants and chemicals and pesticides, so go organic. And then if we're having digestive issues, we want to look deeper at infections. We want to look deeper at SIBO and dysbiosis and H. pylori and low stomach acid and low enzymes. And then if we are still having issues from there, the next step will be to really go through a 5-hour program with a good quality functional medicine doctor that really gets to the root of these issues and helps heal that gut and get your digestion optimal.
Yep.
Anything else, Evan?
That's it. I mean, I'm sure I could rant some more, but I think we killed it today, my man.
All right, man. You have a good weekend.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Got a question for Dr. J? Go to BeyondWellnessRadio.com and click the questions button. Then tune in to hear the answer. Also, if you like the show, click below to review us on iTunes. For more Beyond Wellness Radio, go to BeyondWellnessRadio.com.